life you want.
Check this out.
Get the job.
The things that they're teaching are valuable skills that everybody should know.
Get the girl.
When a man knows who he is and can communicate well, there's nothing sexier.
Live the lifestyle.
I like the results, and they came quick.
Welcome to the Art of Charm.
It's showtime. This podcast is the official podcast of the Art of Charm, which brings together the best coaches in the industry to teach you guys how to get and keep the girl, as well as put your best foot forward in both social and business situations. Make sure to stay up to date with everything going on here and get some killer-free ebooks as well as drills and exercises that'll help you become more charismatic and confident by signing up for the newsletter at theartofcharm.com. If you're new to the show but you want to know more about what we teach here at The Art of Charm, listen to the first 10 episodes first to get the basic toolbox. That's where you'll get the fundamentals of dating and attraction, such as body language, eye contact, vocal tonality, stuff that's more important than you might think. We've got boot camps running 2 to 3 times every single month here in Hollywood, California. Our latest boot camps are at theartofcharm.com/calendar. We're mostly sold out here until 2014 in LA, but contact us and maybe we can squeeze you in. Free intro seminars also running here in Los Angeles. Details at theartofcharm.com. Looking forward to meeting all you guys in Los Angeles this 2014. Welcome to the Art of Charm podcast, the show that's more than just about getting a girl, but putting some protein powder in your personal growth smoothie. I'm Jordan Harbinger, live from the Art of Charm headquarters on Hollywood Boulevard, where all the magic happens at AOC boot camps and training courses. I can't believe you wanted to use protein powder.
Hey, we're in LA, man.
It's true, yeah. End of a week-long program. The guys are out tearing it up with our coaches. We got guys from the UK, and even a guy from Asia, like actually living in China, which I think is interesting. Canada and the United States, and even Central America, which is a continent only if you're from there or from South America. I learned that recently. Did you know that?
Not one of the 7 continents.
Did you know that? Yeah. If you live in Central America or South America, you call Central America as a continent. If you don't, if you live in North America, then it's all just South America, I believe, after what?
It's all Mexico. After.
Yeah, it's all Mexico.
South of Colorado.
South of, yeah, exactly.
Yes,
South of Colorado.
They call it the incontinent. Is what.
Hey-yo.
Wow. If you've been there, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So we're here with Adam Galad, or I'm here with Adam Galad. We've been friends for a long time, and you know you were married before, you got kids, they're grown, they're out of the house, and now you're dating more than probably anybody that I know, which is kind of funny. And you started off as a writer because you were teaching writing at what, Stanford? You had an Emmy-nominated script that you stole from some guy on the internet.
I did that, absolutely. Actually, I still have a little girl.
And you were doing National Lampoon type stuff, and poetry and all that stuff. Yeah. And that's sort of, you parlayed that into dating, but why? I mean, why did you choose? Let's go there first.
Because I had no freaking idea how to date. So I got married really young, about 23.
Okay. And that is young.
I know. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
If I got married 10 years ago, like I'm still like, oh my God, I'm going to get married. How am I going to handle this responsibility? And I'm 33.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, well, I was very young. I started traveling when I was like 15. I just knew suburbia wasn't for me. I knew random standard lifestyle was not for me.
Right.
And so I started traveling young, and I was passing through Israel, and I met a blonde sharpshooter drill sergeant in uniform who was stunning and incredibly well-read and educated. And I just met her, and I said, I know you. You're the woman I'm going to marry. I always tell my kids, I didn't fall in love with her. I just recognized her. Mm-hmm. So I got married super young, 23, went to academia, did my PhD, all that stuff, became a screenwriter, wrote scripts for years, and I got single at 39. And when you get single at 39 and you've never dated and you've never flirted, or at least you had to not flirt. Because I used to have, every year I had new freshman girls. I also had boys, I think, at Stanford, but mostly girls.
Oh, yeah, you mean their classes.
They just come in, they're 18 every year. Yeah. It's really the most torturous job
They always stay the same age.
It is true. And so, but I was very loyal and very good and very involved in my family. Loved my kids, did pretty well with my wife for a long time. And then, we just separated. It was just the time had come, right? We had gone through what we needed to do. And
how old were the kids when you separated?
7 and 10.
Okay, so they were still pretty young.
Yeah, they were very cool about it.
And but like you'd mentioned before, sort of half jokingly, but not, that your kids actually brought this up, that you were like a huge pussy. When
my dad said to me, well, one day, my son said to me, one day I think 3 women came through my house. Like he came by in the morning and there was the girl leaving, and he came in the afternoon and there was somebody leaving, and then there was someone at night, and he He looks at me and he goes, Dad, when you were married, you were really a pussy. And I'm like, son, you were right. I really
How does
was.
he know that?
Because he's very smart.
So when he was 7, he was like, that was a really pussy. He probably remembered some specific event.
Well, what he said was he
remembered
remembered his mom's. She's an Israeli drill sergeant,
right?
So she's no pushover,
right?
So I was very much a pleaser, very much the nice guy, like Dr. Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Right.
I was very much like, I can please her into happiness, and I really did my best. I thought I could. It was not the strategy that actually works. Certainly not in this case. So he remembered who I was, and also that was after a few years. I'd written my first books. I'd sort of developed my boldness code, code. Switched how I communicate, flipped everything over, learned how to really lead, take the power in conversation. It's fun, actually.
This is while you were married or
no,
after?
This is way after.
Because I was going to say,
it's like 6 years later.
Even if you learn that when you're married, sometimes and tell me what you think, it might just be like kind of too late to.
It can be. I've seen different things. It depends how willing everyone is to grow.
Yeah.
It just depends whether you want to stay. It's the same as being single, and you want to date better or not date better. Do you want to stay stuck where you are, or do you want to launch into a new phase? Mm-hmm. And marriages die because people don't want to launch into that new phase. So I'll give you an example. So we got married in a savior-saved kind of relationship, right? I was young. I was doing martial arts. I had scholarships. I was on fire.
On fire. Hungry for life. Yeah.
Yeah, and she came from kind of messed up family, really interesting family, but kind of messed up. And I was like, I'm going to save this beautiful young thing from this fucked up family. And once that dynamic runs out, where it stops being fun for either of us, then you have to make that switch. And we just couldn't make that shift. But anyway, so we're talking about online dating. So when I got single, I literally had no idea how to meet girls. I'd never been to Vegas. I'd never been to a bar. I'd been to lots of Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah.
Lots of ballrooms at McDonald's.
Because you were raising kids.
Just to be
really clear about what you were doing.
So I like to date younger, So, zygotes are off. But other than that, an embryo, hot embryo.
Because, I know you now, and I'm like, and I don't mean this in any insulting way. How old are you now?
I'm in my very late 20s.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, that's what I tell girls.
Yes, plus a
very
few.
late 20s.
But do you mind me sharing your approximate age on the show?
My approximate age is let's say between 45 and 52.
Okay. Cool.
I'm dealing with the numbers.
So,
but can I tell you a funny story? I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay. I'm saying this because you're going through. Dating wise, you're going through your 20s right now.
Yeah.
But that's because you got married so young. And we talked about this at dinner a couple of weeks ago. Because you literally never had a chance to get any of that shit out of your system or experience any of that in your life.
No,
at all.
Just college.
It just
and stuff.
never.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
college is it's 10% of your 20s.
That's true.
Even time wise, it's not. But
I missed the whole 20s and 30s.
Yeah, you're
absolutely.
warming up, and then
but the awesome thing is when you're 40. I always say, being in your 40s, if you've done your intellectual work, if you've done kind of your spiritual work, your emotional work, and you really do your work, the 40s is the fucking best decade ever. Because
I'm sure,
I always say that it's like this golden period where you're past the insecurities of youth, but before the infirmities of age.
Yeah,
and I always say that it's like life is like a roller coaster, right? So between 12 and 40, basically, you're building your ego. You're making your mark in the world. You're letting everyone who you are. You're not your father. You're this guy, right? You're building your identity. You want everyone to know. And that's natural. That's what you should be doing.
Okay, so you're at the top of the roller.
Yeah. So I always say life's like a roller coaster. You're a young man. You're building your ego. You're building your identity. You're showing, I'm not my dad. This is who I am. I'm not my family. I'm not my culture. I'm building, I want everyone to know me, which is natural. It's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
You're differentiating. And you go up, like churning up a roller coaster, churn. Then you hit the top of the roller coaster at about 40, and you look over the edge, and you're like, holy shit, I'm going to die. It's like all downhill.
Right.
So everything shifted. Everything shifts, and you're like, I'm going to enjoy this ride. And I've got to tell you, the guy, I actually was developing a TV show called Unleashed about guys who become single in their 40s. We are the happiest people on earth because you're in your power. You know yourself better. You like yourself better. You don't settle anymore. And you have so much more to offer women, especially younger women.
Yeah.
And my other son said to me recently, I love what my kids say to me. He goes, do you ever have a bad day anymore? And I'm like, you know what? I don't.
Not really.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because it's my philosophy and what I do. And by the way, I love what I do as writing about dating, sex, relationship.
You've been coaching for 7 years. As long as I have, only you have a lot of experience behind you, whereas I was starting in my experience. That's the reason I started coaching is because people were asking me. Not because I had any kind of expertise. 7 years ago, I didn't know what was going on. That was the point of the show, that I had no idea what was going on.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Because you're good. So what happened was, I got single. And I didn't know what to do. I literally didn't know what to do. Luckily, I was coaching baseball, so when all the moms found out I was single, that was like,
You're the hunky baseball coach.
Yeah, I was like the sweet guy. I wasn't even that hunky then,
Back
but
then,
I was like
still-
the
still
sweet
was
guy who like did all the. I was built, but like I was great with the kids. I really like kids. So everyone had their own cheer and all this kind of stuff, and,
Cool.
and they knew me for years. So I thought my destiny was going to be, having sex in minivans and crushing juice boxes.
Right,
That's
right.
really what I thought my future was going to be. And it was fine. It was like so happy. Like at first, like I would date anyone who was nice to me. I mean, that was like great. And then, of course, I started looking around. I didn't know where to go. Like, where do you meet girls? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I still felt, honestly, for anyone who's been married or in a long-term relationship, I still felt married. I felt, it's my whole adult life. So then someone goes, well, there's something called online dating. And I'm like, oh, I can write to them?
Right. On Prodigy or whatever.
I can
On American
no,
Online.
No,
you can write
this
to
was
them.
2001. Yeah, this was, it was actually Morse code.
Yes.
So,
what was online dating?
No, writing is what I do, right? I mean, I
Right.
taught poetry, I taught writing, I've been a screenwriter,
Right.
and I know how to create mood, I know how to create
Most guys
feeling.
are shit writers.
Tell me about it. Most women are
most
shit
people
writers.
are shit writers, I should say.
Right. So I started crafting these profiles, and I started meeting like all these amazing women.
Right.
And so my friends would start saying, how are you meeting all these beautiful women? Every time I see you with somebody, I go, yeah, there's this thing called online dating. It's awesome. You put up a profile, and all these girls write to you.
Fall from the sky.
And they're
Yeah.
like, no, they don't. And let me look at your profile. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
a lawyer. I like to scuba dive. I go to 27 countries. And like it leaves women
Yeah.
dead. So
They're like, oh, I'll put him in the lawyer box.
Yeah,
In the
exactly
bookmark- In
right.
the bookmark folder with the other 27
asshole lawyers that I
who are
knew.
like usually deep. And then they go out with one lawyer and they're like, I'm just going to delete the bookmark
Exactly.
folder that says lawyers because they're all jerks.
So here's tip number 1, by the way, for online dating, because the first book I wrote was about online dating. You never write your job title for exactly that reason. I love that you know all this stuff. You never write your job title. You write how you serve people.
Yeah,
Because
there
women
you
want to
go.
hear about how you care. I don't care if you're an accountant. I organize people's lives so they can spend more time with their kids. There's a way to do it for any of this.
Because that's just that communicates the emotion, the feeling behind it, instead of I'm a CPA, and then people go,
Right.
I'm not sure what that stands for. Next,
Right.
Or-
one of
or
my little
boring.
magical formulas is brass balls, tender heart. So if you can communicate those two things, and there's a lot more in profiles, if you can communicate that you're brass balls, meaning you stand for something in the world, you follow through, people admire you, you have principles, you set a moral high bar, that's number 1. But you also want to show you have a tender heart, because that's what women want, a man who also has a tender heart. So I was doing this, and I was writing a movie for Disney at the time. And everyone was asking me, like, how do I do this profile thing? How do I do this profile thing? So on a whim, I wrote a book.
So wait, so you didn't really know? You were like, oh, I just wrote a profile like I would write anything else, and it works really great. How come not everyone's doing this? And then you realize that everybody's freaking boring.
Not exactly, but yes, the last part is true.
Yeah.
People didn't put thought into it. What I did was I kind of put my academic brain on it. I started writing profiles, then I started playing, experimenting, multiple profiles, playing with words, dropping suggestions, like little things which I call electric contrast, sensual forward pacing, setting a moral high bar, putting in like teases and quizzes and like strange words that they would ask about, creating little tropical mini vacations, I call them, and to see how they would respond. And they would write to me all the time, what does that mean? Oh, that sounds like fun. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. And then playing with book lists and movie lists and things like everything.
Right. Split testing a lot
Kind
of
of
different
split,
stuff. Like,
yeah.
like an internet marketer kind of.
Yeah, kind of like an advertiser, right?
Yeah.
And I did it, frankly, because I was having so much fucking fun.
Yeah,
So I
'cause
had
it
my
was
kids.
interesting to you,
I had
yeah.
I had my kids three nights a week, 3 or 4 nights a week. So I'd put them to bed, and I'd get on, and I'd meet like 20, 30 girls. So every weekend I'd have like 10 girls available.
Right.
And I figured out how to like do the early date with the new one, and then close the night with the second.
Right, but
third
the one
date.
that was a little bit more of a
Yeah.
further
Close.
along in the process.
Well, it's close. So
Yeah.
it was insanely fun for someone
Yeah.
who had been in a frustrating marriage for a long time.
I can only imagine how you were like, holy crap, this has been there the whole time? Good thing I didn't know about this when I had little kids.
I had to do a lot. I had to do a lot of meditation to overcome the regret. But
yeah,
I did. I mean,
bet.
it really took a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of all the there were years that I realized. But on the other hand, I so loved raising my kids. They're awesome people, so it's fun. They're like my best buddies. What happened was, so I started playing and experimenting, and then I decided to write this book. I decided to write this book on how to write an online profile that really speaks to the heart of women in the language of women that they hear, but spoken like a man. We can talk about that.
Okay.
And the craziest thing happened, as I was writing the book, I got this call from this woman. Well, it's a longer, crazier story.
Okay.
But I was having bottles of wine thrown at my head at the Chart House.
At the what house?
At the Chart House down in Malibu, because I had met this like 26-year-old blonde from Texas who was great. I met her online. We had so much fun. Friday night, Saturday, she stayed with me. Sunday, I realized she was traumatized. She said she had a kid that was killed. And I was like, holy shit. And then she started
awful.
crying. Sunday morning in my bed after a great weekend, no clues. Her kid was killed. Her father was killed. Everyone abandons her.
Like a car crash type thing?
I didn't even get that far.
Oh,
and I'm just staring at her going, what do I do now? Because I'm new to this. And so I sent her home and I said, meet me tonight for dinner. And I called my friends who were therapists and I said, what do I do? I think she's really in trouble.
Yeah.
So I took her out to dinner and I wanted to say, like, by the way, I can't be your boyfriend, but I can be your friend. And I found like a support group and I was going to go with her.
Okay.
Right, to the group as her friend.
Wow.
But I learned something very important. Never start a sentence with, I can't be your boyfriend with someone you just spent the weekend with. Okay? That did not work. So she freaked out, started throwing things at me. I was afraid to go home that night. So I'm sitting in my car on the PCH. It's like 11 at night, right? Wow. And I'm sitting in my car, literally afraid to go home. And this girl calls online that I had met, and she had this amazing profile. And we started talking, and like within 10 minutes, I'm like, I could fall in love with you. I don't know who you are, but I could fall in love with you. She was an amazing woman. And so we're talking and talking. She goes, listen, she's up in San Francisco. She goes, listen, I really like you too. And I'm like, that's awesome. She goes, there's something I have to tell you.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you're a guy. Right?
Or
San
married.
Francisco. No, she's on a reality show.
Oh, shit.
No, I had been
That's
trying-
even worse.
It was even worse. I was trying to get away from TV because I'd been so immersed in Hollywood.
Also, I mean, talk about the spotlight.
Well, yeah. Well,
Not necessary.
Yeah, and I had no reason to have a spotlight, and I said, no, absolutely
Yeah.
not. I'm trying to go away from Hollywood. She goes, please. I'm like, no. And then her producer's calling, no. And I'm like, look, you guys, I really like this girl. I'll tell you what, I'm a producer. I produce TV shows, right? I'm like, I know how it works. I'm not doing anything on the show that I wouldn't do off the show. So, and I can tell you a million stories about what they tried to make me do.
I'm sure.
So I drove up there, wrote the book, and that was on the show called How to Get the Guy.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up being the guy for her.
Cool.
And the reason she found me was because she's kind of really profound person. She's getting ordained in a Buddhist, like right now, seven years later, in a Buddhist order. Partly because of our relationship.
Sweet.
Another story. But she saw my profile, and she couldn't find someone in San Francisco who was both masculine and spiritual.
See, that's the
how
thing,
she said it.
because there's so much spiritual woo-woo crap, but they're all
It's
like
bullshit, right.
yoga pants wearing weirdo dudes.
Right. I have a pair of yoga pants now and then.
I know you, but you're one of those guys. That's why. That's
no,
why
but I can tell you what the opening.
That's how I know this.
She read the profile on ABC television out loud before anyone knew who I was, before I wrote my book, and it started like this. And this is one of the tips I have in my book, by the way, Deep Online Attraction, which is, don't talk about yourself. Talk about her. This is one way to do it. So it opened like this. You are inspired and inspiring, vivacious and witty, with a great open-hearted laugh. Joy swims around you. You can't help it. So there's you could say there's some flattery in that, but what I'm really doing is calling forth exactly the person I wanted to meet. Guess what? She was exactly that person. So I ended up on the show. We ended up dating for 9 months, actually.
Wow.
And it was good. We're still buddies. But anyway, so that kind of happened. Then I wrote my book, and then that became really popular online. One thing led to another.
And now you've got you got something new now, which is, I think, interesting because, like you said, you're somewhere between 45 and 52.
Somewhere between 30 and 170.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you've got the new product that's about dating younger women because every time we hang out, you're like, oh my God, I'm dating this girl. And she's like,
just voted by People Magazine.
Too young
beautiful
for you,
women in their
Jordan.
20s. Yeah, it's true.
All the girls are too young for me. And which is funny.
That'll be gross if you dated them. You're way too old.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But in online dating, you contend is still the best way to meet women, but only if you do it right. Because
Absolutely.
when my friends are like, I want to meet girls online. I'm like, usually they can't meet girls in person when I'm having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually guys that can't meet girls in person and go, fuck it, I'm going to date online. And I'm like, if you can't meet girls in person, you're probably totally screwed online because you're just going to get disappointed at a much slower rate. It's going to frustrate you more.
It's true because you don't have the basic skill set. It's really funny. I'll tell you a really funny story. On my first online date, kind of a cute blonde, a little pudgy for me. I would not date her today.
Right.
But we went out. I spent $6,000 on the first date. Long story. I had to buy
$6,000.
Well, all I had was a minivan, so I had to buy a car. Oh, shit. So I did this whole themed date. I really went overboard, like a screenwriter. I created an experience.
Right.
We get to her front gate, right? And she literally said, she goes to me, so what's the protocol? And I didn't know. I hadn't been on a date in 20 years. So I'm like, I'll call you and we'll go out again. That was it, right?
Right.
Now let's flash forward. After I developed instant confidence with women, after I developed boldness code.
Translation, she was like, are you coming upstairs to have sex or are you leaving?
I had no idea. But then I really spent a lot of years how to talk to a beautiful woman, where I interviewed all these beautiful women. Instant confidence with women is a program. Boldness code is a woman. And I really switched. So flash forward to about 2 years ago, I met a beautiful 23-year-old singer / bartender / just arrived in LA girl online. beautiful. Took her out on Sunset Boulevard. Had a great time. We partied. We broke into some rooftop parties here in the hotels down the street.
Nice.
And we get back to her place. Same scene, white picket fence too.
Wow.
And she was tatted up and much hotter. And she goes, so what happens now? So I want you to listen really closely, everybody, because this is the difference. After 8 years of practice. So I said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to kiss you. If you like it, you're going to kiss me back. If I like it, I'm going to pick you up, throw you over my shoulder, take you upstairs, and ravish you till the morning.
Yeah.
If we both like it, we'll go to Hawaii in 3 months.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of semiotics in there. There's a lot of communication, like when you really break it down. So let me break it down for a second, just for fun, all right? Because
is
really
semiotics one of those words
yeah,
that
it's one of
people
those
ask
fancy.
you about?
Yeah, so I try to do that. Yeah, you drop it into your profile.
Well done.
Yeah. Zin's so fat they feel like food. I dropped that in too. So people who know it was infidels.
Zinfandel, yeah.
Yeah, they'll know, and people who don't, they'll go, oh, I like
I don't
fat
even drink
Zins
wine,
too.
but
you know that.
I can guess what that means.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's Jordan. You've been listening to the show for a while now, right? And you've probably thought about what it would be like to take our week-long boot camp. Maybe it sounds silly or weird or downright crazy. Or maybe you think you don't really need a structured program to become a better man. Either way, I get it. Taking charge of your life is a big deal. It doesn't feel easy, and it doesn't feel fun until you actually do it. And then, well, just listen to a few of our graduates.
AJ and Jordan changed my life. I'm glad they did.
Dude, I'm way happier now than I've ever been.
I'm now engaged to the girl of my dreams, and I'm headed off to medical school in the fall.
Those were all real quotes from some of the thousands of guys that we've helped transform. I want you to be one of those guys. And deep down, I think you know you are one of those guys. Because the way I see it, the art of charm is not about becoming the new you. It's about becoming the real you. And I know who he is. Do you? Come find out at theartofcharm.com.
You were saying there's a lot of subcommunication.
Oh, subcommunication. I think I said it was semiotics.
You did. You said semiotics.
Semiotics
in there.
Yeah, semiotics is like what information is packed into something. So here's what we're going to do. Taking the lead, right? Absolutely, as the man, taking the lead of what's going to happen. Not asking, but always telling. Here's what's going to happen. I'm laying it out for you. I'm going to kiss you.
I like that story building, too, that future projection.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves a story. I mean, that's why we watch movies.
That's why when women love the movie aspect of they now have a roadmap for what might happen. Whereas with normal guys, they're left guessing and our minds fill in the blanks and it's never going to be that good.
Right. For women, sensuality, sexuality is, I don't know what percentages. I'll make it up. 68% in their imagination.
Sure.
So much happens there in the imagination. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to kiss you. No question. Right. If you like it, you're going to kiss me back. So immediately, I'm not the typical guy who's just trying to get something off her. Right. I'm giving her agency. I'm giving her individuality. I'm giving her choice. All right? And then I take back qualification. If I like it, which is not a done deal.
Right.
She might kiss me. I'm like, nah, not enough.
Tongue is made out of
really
pumice stone. Get out of here.
A little mustache.
Yeah.
Another great thing about dating women in their 40s.
My Aunt Joanne.
Yeah, exactly. I dated your Aunt Joanne.
Sorry. Sorry to hear that.
So, if I like it, then you go into the romance story. Then you go into the romantic novel. I'll pick you up, carry you upstairs.
Right.
And then, of course, you have the great future pacing of, well, I'll take you to Hawaii.
Right.
Never took her to Hawaii.
Sure.
Take her upstairs.
Didn't last 3 months. Lasted 3 days. Not a big deal.
It was good. But anyway, so there's a whole sort of switch I made from being a total doofus, having absolutely no idea, to understanding what it means to lead as a man. To claim your woman into an experience.
Okay.
Not to force her, not to manipulate her, no bullshit.
Sure.
But just claim them into a great experience. They're all eager.
So what are some of these things that guys are doing wrong? So because a lot of guys want the same experience. I mean, nobody goes online dating and goes, I want this to be a frustrating process that never works out. Because a lot of people that I know who online date never have any quote unquote luck with the process. They meet a lot of girls online, but they don't get any responses, et cetera. And I'd like to focus specifically on older guys trying to date a little younger. One, because that's what your specialty area is, but two, because there's a million experts on online dating that can say how to get a response from somebody. And I think it's probably easier to get a response from somebody that's your own, quote unquote, your own age looking for similar things.
But what I teach is how to get them to write you first.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
So anyone can get a response, but how do you inflame their imagination?
So what are things that guys can do now? Like if I'm online dating, which I'm not, but if I'm listening to the show and I'm dating online, I'm looking at my profile. What am I looking for where you're going to go, get rid of this crap, get rid of that crap? What am I able to correct?
Let me give you the most recent example, by the way. I was up in, we were both up in San Francisco this week. And I stayed with a guy, a mutual friend of ours, and his roommate is just finished his PhD, whatever, psychology at Stanford, right? Great guy, does work in like compassion and peacemaking and inner city kids, and like an amazing dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing,
like a good catch for
just like the kind of guy that women actually want,
right?
And he's a good dude, and he's not a bad looking dude, and you know, I spend the first third of my book, Deep Online Attraction, in having people go through qualities of themselves, asking their friends, asking women they know, asking their family about themselves, and developing this kind of data bank of what's actually attractive about them. Guys who online think they have to show off. Women, I call it the garage sale profile. Here's my shit. Like, here's, you know, I've been to 20 countries. I like to ski. I like to scuba dive. There's no heart, right?
Right.
So the first thing...
And you're kind of thinking, which one of these is going to catch?
Right.
Like,
who else likes to walk on the beach?
Yeah.
We have so much in common.
Oh, you like fireside chats?
Really?
OMG.
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 Well, right. So let's take a great example. So his profile started like this. So I'm here to like meet cool people, and if something grows out of it, that would be great. Right. And it went on like that. Exercise is good, he said. I like bicycling. So I changed the opening to when this 2 hours after the 6-year-old punched me in the face, right? Which is a true. I started asking about his work. Right. 2 hours after the 6-year-old punched me in the face, he came up to me in the hallway but couldn't look me in the eye. And it's a true story. And he was looking down at his shoes and he says, "I'm sorry, Dr. X, right? I didn't mean to do that." And I said to him, "It's okay. The point is that now you know this is not, you're not going to do that again." So I got right into a story. Immediately stands out from everybody else. Sure. This guy got 3 winks within the first couple of hours, and he got nothing. I'll give you another example. This is actually, I can't even believe it's a true story, but it's a true story. I have a guy, he's 62 or 60, super youthful, owns a boat, lives down in Long Beach, great guy, funny. Gathered too much pickup stuff, like he's
one
like
of those overlearned.
And it's not what he wanted. He actually wanted a girlfriend. I redid his profile with him. OkCupid wrote to him, and they go, "We just want to remark on how much traffic and how many winks and letters you're getting from nowhere." That's an absolutely true story. I've never seen it happen before.
Wow,
that happened a few weeks ago. My own profiles, I can even tell you how I start other ways of my. You want to open with ways that really get women's attention. You want to stand out. What I say is, like, there's so much white noise out there, you know, like just blank white noise. So the first thing you want to do is like really stand out. I can't snap my fingers. Stand out from all the other ones, from the white noise. So, like, for example, more recently in my life, right? So in the beginning, like I said, I would date anyone who was nice to me.
Right. Yeah.
I've become very, very, very focused. You know, you'll probably also know I worked 2 years with David Data. I was his partner, so I spent a lot of work doing very deep men's work, women's work. I have a big women's list. And so there's only a certain level of...
List of big women.
I have a list... No. I have very strict weight guidelines.
What's a big woman's list then?
I show up with calibers. No, a women's list, a community of... I write books for women as well.
Oh, got it. Okay.
On how to communicate with men. Because I did the same thing for women. They don't know how to write profiles.
Right.
They write... What do their profiles say? Their profiles say, "I love my family. I love my friends. Here's a picture of my cat."
Right.
And when I teach men, what they're really saying is, like, "I live to love."
Yeah.
That's really what they want to say. So I show them how to express that in the language of what I call the victory for men.
Okay.
Because all men care about online in the beginning is, will this woman make my life better?
Right.
Or will she be hard? Will she be a burden? So I teach them how to say the same thing, but in the language of what I call 13 victories that men look for.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
Like, she already likes her body, so the sex will probably be good. She's happy, so she's not going to be a burden. Like, there's a bunch of these things. How to communicate it and make a man feel like a winner, because that's how men feel love, by feeling admired and like they're winning. For women, they want to feel cherished. They want to feel unique, right? So I have ways. You remember that profile I said about the woman in San Francisco?
Yeah.
When I wrote that, I got so many letters from women who said, "That's me." Like, how did you wrote me better than I could write me. Because I was really calling out exactly the kind of woman I wanted.
Sure.
Right? So here's, like, more recently when I was online dating, I know what I want. So I opened strong, right?
Right.
So the profile I wrote is, "I'm looking for you and you only. Unique, special."
Right.
I always want to make women feel that way. "You dazzling, unique, heartful, graceful, visionary, kick-ass beauty." Mm-hmm. Now, you know what's going to happen? 95% of women are going to read that and go, "Oh, shit, I'll never get him. Like, I'm not that."
Right.
But the women who see themselves as dazzling, unique, heartful, graceful, visionary, kick-ass beauties, they're the ones who write to me. And guess what? They're the ones I want.
Right, they're the ones you want. Right. So do a lot of guys speak so-called man language in their profile? Like, I know if I wrote an online dating profile and I wasn't trying to think strategically about how to get responses.
Then
Like
you'd be wasting your time.
Like I'm an average guy, right?
You'd be wasting your
I'd be
time.
like, I like CrossFit.
Right.
I travel a lot. I speak a bunch of languages. I really like dogs. And I live in Hollywood. I run my own business. That's what my average Joe profile would sound like if I wrote it without trying to get responses, without trying to be creative or like elicit something.
Right.
But that's man language. That's like
it's a waste of time.
That's what dudes write in their profile.
Right.
And so now I'm trying to like compete on paper.
Right.
Right. So, or the profile and the other profiles that my female friends are getting are dudes who seem to be kind of like, I'm a high-powered, cool guy.
Bullshit.
You know, like it's like
through it.
it's like it's kind of like a farce.
You know why? Men. All right. So this is here's a little bit of evolutionary sort of neurological history. So men communicate with men to compete, right? Men in every culture around the world
communicate with men to compete.
Right? And men dress in every culture throughout history. Well, how? Not to attract women, but to intimidate other men.
Oh, really?
Masks, war paint, everything's around war. Power suits. It's all about man to man.
I wear like purple and
Yeah, I love your feather boa that you're wearing right now, by the way.
I dress for I'm competing with Elton John.
So, on the other hand, women have always dressed to attract men. So, something very interesting going on. Neurologically, linguistically, men evolved. We basically were hunting most of our evolutionary history.
Sure.
Like, if it was a clock, it would be to like 11:58.
Yeah.
We were out there hunting.
Is that why you have the bone through your nose?
That helps. Well, it's like a weather vane. But men were out hunting. And what don't you do when you're hunting?
Talk to chicks.
You don't talk to anybody. You don't
Or
talk,
girls, yeah.
right?
Anybody.
You give the basic information.
Yeah.
Like you communicate basic data. This is why women drive men crazy, because men drive women crazy, because men don't feel the need to verbally communicate. Just the proximity of your woman, you feel fulfilled. Women often, this is when you're in a relationship, women often get edgy and upset if the man's not talking to them.
Sure.
So the reason is women spent most of evolutionary history tending the kids, watching the other women, trying to figure out who's safe, who's not safe, are the kids safe, and creating that kind of social bonds. We call this today women's intuition.
Sure,
right?
okay.
Women talk. That's how they communicate. Men don't talk. So it's natural that men would go online and go, hey, I'm this guy, da-da-da, here's me, here's my muscles,
Yeah.
here's my value.
Picture of me with my shirt off.
Yeah, and it's all the same shit, and it's hilarious. I met a nurse, a really cute nurse from Minnesota on a plane. And, of course, you and I probably love when people say, what do you do for a living? You know?
Yeah, sure.
So she's like, oh, my God, can you answer me this question?
Right.
You know, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, why do men always have pictures on their online profiles holding a fish? I'm like, in LA, we don't have that a lot in LA.
It doesn't happen a lot in Hollywood.
But I can tell you exactly why.
Sure.
Because the way men won women throughout the history of humanity was to provide
Yeah,
resources.
I'm an awesome provider. Look at the
I
fish
have a
get.
fish. And they don't even know they're doing that.
Right, it's all just so background lizard brain shit going on.
It's background lizard brain.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's exactly it.
Here's me with my foot on a cheetah. Like, a dead cheetah.
Here's my
hopefully.
foot on my last girlfriend. That's
Yeah.
So, like, once you start understanding how men and women communicate and how we use language, then you can start playing with language. So I have women. I mean, I love teaching women because the women that come to me, like, they really want a man. Like, they really want to do it, and they don't know how to communicate. Right? So again, I teach them to speak to a man's. The first thing I teach them is that when a man goes online, what's his interest in you? And they're like, to have sex with me. I'm like, no, that's not actually always it. It's, will she make my life better? Will I feel better about myself with my friends in my world, at home, with you in my life? Will you improve my life or not improve my life? So I teach them to frame all their virtues in terms of, will I make a man's life easier and better?
Right.
And how I'll make him feel like a king if he can live up to, and then I give her I tell them, approach a man with character. Very strict character guidelines. If you're this man, you will wake up feeling like a king, go to sleep feeling like a king. All your friends will be jealous. That's the language that men go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because looking at some of the stuff my girlfriend does, hopefully by accident, she's like, oh, I really want to cook this new thing. And I'm like, okay. And somewhere in the back of my mind, sort of subconsciously, I'm winning. She cooks stuff and she enjoys it. I don't have to bug her to do that.
Right.
Or like, she's like, hey, I saw this thing that looks kind of sexy. And I'm like, that's awesome. Or she'll be like, oh, what do you think of this? Here's a picture of me like in some clothing. And I'm like, that's hot. And she's like, what do your friends think? And I'm like, okay, so there's permission to do it. And it's not like a slutty thing at all. It might have come out wrong. But, when I look at sort of like other girls that I've dated in the past or something, they kind of, there's a lot of not that type of communication. And I don't want to go off into a tirade about that screwed up that might have been. Yeah. But like the communication there about all your friends will be jealous. That's awesome for a guy because that basically says, so what you're going to do is give me lots of stuff that I want, and it's going to be so good that all the guys that I compete with subconsciously or
are going to hate me.
Are going to be like, okay, you win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what every guy wants.
And you get a lot. And the truth is, we're still at a point of evolution in our species where that's actually good for you professionally. Like people give you so much more respect when they meet your hot girlfriend or your hot wife.
And
if you show
in
up
our
with
business, especially.
Well, in our business, forget about it. So like, literally, I was dating a girl and I met her online, guys, who was voted by People magazine as the hottest woman in America in her age class.
That's
in
awesome.
her 20s.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's not something I ever expected.
Right.
And I didn't even know that when I met her, but she just sort of dropped that. She just told me. She was a little embarrassed about it. But and by the way, the flip side is true. Like when you're at a social event, right, Hollywood event or professional event, some guy shows up and it's like, and I hate to say this, I really do, but it's true.
Let's just be real.
He shows up with some dumpy, overweight, unkempt hair going out of the side of her face, like green pustulating warts on her feet, you know what I'm saying?
Or honestly,
or just overweight,
or just not that attractive, nothing special.
It's true. Your estimation of him goes down, and it's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I encourage.
But we're hardwired.
But
let's be honest, we're not. It's not like we decided to be shallow dicks.
Right, we just are.
It would be a lot easier if we weren't. Don't you ever think about that? Like, it would be a lot easier if we just. We had the shallow hell thing happen where we didn't have to worry about that. We could only see
we would have cured cancer. We'd have colonies on the moon.
It would be amazing.
All the attention.
It would be so awesome, but we can't do that. We're not designed to look for that. We're designed to look for signs of youth and fertility. So we can't turn that off. But yeah, you're right. If you see a guy and he's like, that's why guys always go, oh yeah, you're a dating coach? Yeah, what kind of girls do you get? What's your girlfriend look like?
Yeah,
and it's like, here you go. Now I can be like, here's what she looks like,
right,
fuckface.
Right,
enjoy that. Rub that one in your face.
I love that one. And I got to tell you, this is like a total side note to everyone out there, but it does put pressure on us. Dude, and it really raised my bar,
Absolutely, yeah. It's for better or for worse. But you're right. If your boss walks in, I don't have those, but if your boss walks in and you're like, and he's a couple years older than you, but not by much, or the same age as you, and you're like, you're dating or married to a girl who's better looking than his wife, you're like, bitch, you're like, got you on that one, sucker.
No, it's really true.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I went shopping with a girlfriend, and we just got at McKinney having lunch, and she was smoking. And there was a woman at one of these shops, really beautiful blonde, totally hitting on her and us. And it was like, we walked out, and this woman is someone who was also married when she was younger, and she's like, I know how to do this now. She was trying to have sex with us, wasn't she? And I'm like, yes, you have learned very well. Because she was so beautiful, but she didn't realize it because she was such a serious servant of children. I mean, she's an amazing human being. And when she first got single, like in her early 30s a couple of years ago, she got invited up. It's a typical LA story. Really good-looking couple. So why don't you come up for brownies? She comes up. They're naked.
Awkward.
She bought like cookies, and she's
like, "What kind of brownies?
Yeah, what kind of brownies are we talking about?" Yeah. And then the girl started sucking the guy's dick. She says, "Do you want some?" She goes, "No, I'll just have the cookies."
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna start with the cookies.
So she's learned. So this woman was all over her yesterday. It was really interesting.
The tangent. I was out with Kim Seltzer. We were planning a show. And Kim Seltzer's really pretty. And we're at like a coffee shop, and this girl comes up and starts chatting with us. But she's like a little bit flirty with me, and I'm kind of like, that's cool. I'm feeling pretty good about it. No big deal. And then like the guy who works there comes up and starts like massaging the other girl who's talking with us. And me and Kim were like,
I love LA.
What's going on right now? And so Kim and I were like, these people are being weird. They're like, what are you doing later? Where do you guys hang out? Do you ever go? And they asked us if we go to like certain venues for a certain type of party that we've never heard of. They didn't call it that, but they were like, oh, do you guys ever go to the da-da-da-da? And we were like, no, never heard of that. And they're like, oh, you should. Tuesday nights are great. And we were like, mental note. We're like, oh, cool, good to know. And then when we left, we Googled it, and it was like swinger night. And we were like, we knew it. They're trying to do us. So it was, and it's kind of funny because Kim and I were just there planning the show that we were going to record.
Oh, sure, that's what you.
And it was just like we're sitting there drinking coffee, and we're like, why is this girl flirting with me? Oh, now she's flirting with Kim. Oh, that's what's going on.
Right.
It's really, but weird shit happens to beautiful girls all the time.
Oh, it's awesome.
it's really
awesome. We went out a couple weeks ago, and she walked into the bar at what's it called? Not House. I always get these two confused. Like House, right? Restaurant. She walks into the bathroom. Girl walks up to her and says, would you like to make $10,000 next weekend? She goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, we'll fly you to Brunei.
And you're never coming.
But this happened a lot. Yeah, she's like, thank you, but I have a dentist appointment. So anyway, the point is, like, we have that we have that professional need to date like incredibly beautiful women, which I have to say has been kind of good for me in some ways.
I'm sure.
Because it raised my bar of my expectations of what I'm worth, and then I have to live up to that.
Yeah, you have to. The problem is there's a crap ton of pressure in the meantime. I don't think I talk about this much on the show, but if you go out as a normal guy and you're like, you have a bad night, you're like, happens.
Right.
Or you feel a little bit bad
given
about
our
it.
job, right?
But now, if you go out and you have a bad night, you're like, oh, crap. And if anyone saw it, you're like, oh, crap. Oh, God. Now I look like I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like you fail professionally and personally at the same time.
There is something about that.
Can
I tell a crazy story? Crazy story. I met a girl online, and she said she was 25. All right? And this is part of the failure thing, right? So she's 25. She walks in. I said, join me for a drink. And again, I super, super, super qualify. And I should talk about how to qualify for women. I actually have something in front of me. I wrote in one of my profiles here, I'm a shameless sapiosexual. All right, so that word I stole from another woman.
Right. I like that.
It means it says, I am turned on by your intelligence, but more by your wisdom. We will spark if you be eclectic, happy, wildly curious, hypnotically feminine, slim, fit, conscious, fun and bold, whip smart, but with no other interest in whips. All right? So I laid on really hard, and then, of course, some humor. Always humor. So, but you notice how many qualifiers I put on.
Yeah.
So she wrote me, and she says, you sound really interesting.
Except for I have another interest in whips.
Often women will write that.
Yeah,
by the way,
sure
tee-hee.
Yeah, right.
Ha-ha. Every girl under 25 uses ha-ha every other sentence. It's like the latest thing. I asked her to the Casa del Mar, which is down by Santa Monica overlooking the ocean. Beautiful old romantic hotel. By the way, guys, never do a fucking first date at Starbucks. Set the scene. Take her somewhere romantic.
See, that's an interesting point because
take her for a picnic.
I often say that if you meet a girl online, you should do coffee. And here's my logic. And because
in case you don't like it, you don't spend money.
Well, because most guys meet girls online and they talk for like 3 freaking years not really, but 3 hours investment, 6 hours time investment.
No way.
And then they meet up and they've got this thing planned and they're like, they see the girl and before they even sit down, they're like, I don't want it. Nah.
Guess what?
Done.
You can walk away. You could say, hey, I really like meeting you. You're not what I thought. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a nice person. Goodbye. You're allowed to do that.
See, a lot of guys would feel really bad doing that.
Yeah, okay. So feel bad. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
But
or
at least you're honest.
But
at least you're honest about it. Be straightforward. But what I say is my big first date when I'm online dating is down by the beach. Bottle of bubbly, Prosecco. What is it, $8? You can get a nice bottle of Prosecco.
Right.
You're sitting on the beach watching the sunset.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that better than Starbucks? Yes. Does it set the scene? Yes. Do you end up going home? Often. Right? Yeah. So this is a romantic hotel. She walks in like fucking killer, body hugging blue dress and heels, and it's like 6:30 on a Wednesday night.
Right.
She's gorgeous.
She looks like an escort.
Well, she looks like she didn't know what she was doing.
Right.
So I'm like, how old is this person, right? So she sits down, we start talking, and she said she's down here on an internship. I'm like, cool. So you just graduated Berkeley? And she's like, well, no. I'm like, oh, you finished your 3rd year, right? Now I have 2 kids in college, right? So she's like. You finished your 3rd year? She goes, no. And she was Asian, so if she wasn't Asian, she would be blushing.
Right, basically, because you can't tell how old Asians are. You're like, are you 18 or 30?
Until they turn into a little old man at around age 48. Right.
Right. So, hopefully he's 60.
And then I'm like, sophomore year? And she looks at me and I'm like, you're a freshman, aren't you? She's like, yeah. And I go, and she was amazing because she was so smart. Like, we could talk about anything.
Yeah.
And she was in the Miss California competition. So she's very poised. You know, she carries herself well. I go, how old are you? She's like, I'm 19.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, 19? She goes, how old are you? And I'm like, let's just both say we're 33 and call it even.
Right.
And she laughed. She goes, great. She was, and here's what I want guys to hear, especially guys over 35, if you do this right. And I have a program called Date Younger with Dignity, which tells you how to do exactly that. She was embarrassed by being too young for me. Mm-hmm. That's the switch. Guys think that they're so disempowered that the young women are like this incredible prize that you don't deserve, where you, as a man of experience, who knows things, who know how to treat a woman, who aren't trying to figure yourself out anymore, who aren't climbing the ladder, what I call being at the feast of life instead of being on the hunt, and I'll say something about that because it's really an interesting division. They don't think they're worth you. They want to be with someone who knows something. She was embarrassed at 19, right? So I kind of rolled with the punches. I said, well, this is going to make a great story on Jordan's show. And certainly it proves my point about you can communicate with someone who's, in my case, 30 years younger.
Yeah.
And do the math.
Yeah.
And we just had this great conversation. She was up on psychedelics. She was up on politics, literature. Super smart girl, all right? I like them super smart. So we had a great time. I said, come with me. We'll go to the Improv tomorrow night. A bunch of my friends are performing. I used to work in comedy. And took her there, sat right in front. Believe me, they gave it to me from the stage.
Sure.
Oh, let's bring your daughter to work day. Bring your Asian daughter to work day.
Wow.
And it was really fun. We had a great time. We ended up together. It was very wonderful and sweet.
Yeah.
And then later, like the next day, she goes, I really had a great time with you last night. She stayed over, the whole thing. And she goes, but I really don't feel we're a match.
Yeah.
And like then the whole dating coach thing kind of plummeted.
Right.
I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And then she said, no, I really like you. I didn't
reality check. You just have a massive difference.
It was just so much fun. She's like, I had a great time with you. It was awesome, but I'm going to find someone else.
Sure.
Great, fine. But I went through that little failure thing.
Yeah.
But what a fucking failure.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like you're allowed. And it's like, oh, I didn't end up being a match for a 19-year-old. Wait a second. That's probably normal.
That's probably a good thing.
Hey man, it's Jordan from The Art of Charm. You've heard me talk a lot about taking you to the next level in life, at work, and in your relationships. And you've also thought to yourself, yeah, I do want to up my game. I do want to become a better man, a better hustler, a better person. And my guess is that you've been thinking about this for a long time. Am I right? I'm here to tell you this. Stop thinking. Your moment is now. Do you really need more information, more plans for the future? Or do you want to become that guy today? Because the truth is this. You can be the guy who sits around and thinks about becoming better, or you can be the guy who decides that today is the day you're going to become awesome. I want that for you. Why? Because you are awesome. You just don't know it yet. Join me and thousands of guys who've taken action in their lives at theartofcharm.com. Theartofcharm.com.
And here's another point for guys who are dating younger. And so much to say about this. Why do I date younger? All right?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm youthful. You can tell from my voice. You can tell by my demeanor. And I make a big distinction in Date Younger with Dignity in the program between being youthful and being falsely young. Like authentically youthful. Mm-hmm. Authentically youthful means you're excited about your life. You're vital. You're learning new shit, right? Mm-hmm. I am, right? And I cultivate that in my life. So, my best friends, guys, are in their 20s, right? Most guys my age are playing golf and growing mustaches and back hair. And
growing mustache. You're growing back hair, but good job on no mustache.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, and I look at them and I have nothing in common with them because I stay youthful, right? So being youthful without being falsely young.
Right, without having that weird, like, yo, dude, let's play some Call of Duty.
That is the falsely young. Which brings me to that feast and hunt idea. So one thing I really realized is that, when you're young, you're definitely on the hunt, right? You've got all that testosterone coursing through your body. You're on the hunt. You're trying to prove yourself, which, again, is all fine. It's good. There comes a point in life, and I think you're pretty close to that, actually, at 33, where you're kind of living at the feast. You understand who you are. You're doing what you love your life. And the difference, the energy that women feel is, I need to get something from you. I'm on the hunt. Right. I need to get something out of you. I need to take something from you. Versus, I'm at the feast. I'm inviting you in.
Right, yeah.
Now, I guarantee everyone out here, no matter what you do for a living, no matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter. It's an energy of, I'd like to invite you into the experience of being with me.
Yeah.
Right? It's a much more mature, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, like to immature, but it's sort of a man of experience invites you into their life.
Yeah.
So one of the things
Absolutely.
I try to teach in that program is how to cultivate living at the feast, right? And how to communicate that online, offline, on a first date, among your friends, that kind of thing.
I think that's really important because, thinking about it, recently, I hadn't had a girlfriend for a really, really long time.
But you had a boyfriend, so.
Yeah, so it was all good.
You too.
But, I just, like a serious relationship. I was just enjoying doing what I was doing. Sure. And then I was kind of like, I want somebody who, wants to travel and go do fun things and even do some of the boring stuff and just sort of do it together.
Right.
And that's when I was like, I got a lot going on. Maybe I should start thinking about. And it was sort of a natural settling down desire as opposed to, well, I'm getting too old for this shit, that type of thing.
Like out of negativity.
Yeah,
right.
It was more like, I'm doing a lot of awesome stuff. Somebody deserves to be a part of this, but they have to be pretty awesome.
Right.
That was exactly my thought process. And then it was almost like Jenny fell from the sky, weeks later.
You had her airdropped in from
I had her airlifted from
Korea.
From Taiwan.
Exactly.
But that's how that worked out. And it's interesting because a lot of guys are they either feel like they have to settle down or they go, well, this is the best I'm ever going to do, so I'm going to put a ring on it.
Yeah, right.
That's
worst.
painful.
Well, I found someone who will fuck me twice, so
yeah.
I'll marry her.
Exactly. But why do younger girls like dating older guys? Because of the feast thing.
Yeah. So I always ask them, by the way. I always say, so what, and the 19-year-old, for example, I still find it hard to believe, right? 19.
Right. But, me too.
Yeah, but it was awesome. I asked her, I said, so, what's it like dating people your age? She goes, oh, I'd never date someone in their 20s. And I go, why? Because she's come up to me and start talking to me, and I feel like petting him on the head, and I go, oh, aren't you cute trying to hit on me?
Right.
Because she can feel that hunger and that need, that neediness. As you pass 30, 35, 40, that kind of hunger and neediness, hopefully, because you're evolving as a human being, as a man, starts to disappear, and that energy of welcome to my life starts to develop. So I ask them all the time. So here's some of the answers I've gotten. They know who they are. Men know who they are.
Right.
Now, again, that's a really deep statement, actually, because remember the roller coaster story?
Yeah.
When you're young, you're building your ego. You're figuring shit out, and it's fine. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're a junior partner. You're working your way up in the company. You're looking up. Whereas a young woman, especially if she's attractive, especially if she's smart, she wants a guy who's already there.
Yeah.
And they know that. And they know that they're a prize, right, to somebody who's a little bit older.
Sure.
And especially if they're ambitious.
Yeah.
And in the cities, man, I tell you, if I was a smart young chick, I would be on Millionaire Match. I would be on all those sites. I'd qualify the guys 1,000 times over, but I would find that great guy.
Absolutely.
Because there are great guys who are accomplished, who know something. So if I was a hot chick, I would definitely be doing that. But they're not all looking for money. What they're looking for is experience, someone to show them new experience, someone to mentor that. And I say that in my profile. I go, by the way, if I love business, my whole life is about helping men and women cultivate the lives they actually want and live boldly and fearlessly. That's what I do. That's how I teach dating. It's be fucking bold and honest and true. This is what I do. So if you have any interest in entrepreneurship, I love talking about that stuff, and I love mentoring, and I may be useful to you. Like that. I'm right up front about it. And I have launched at least 3 women into business.
That's great.
Yeah. And so they look to you for mentorship. They look to you for experience. They, obviously, theoretically, if you're over 40 and you didn't put all your money in the stock market, you've got a little bit more money. I dated a girl who's really a story. You probably met her. Yeah, she was a wild one.
Okay.
And she said what she loved. She goes, what I love about you is that you have more than just beer in your refrigerator. It mattered to her. This is a girl, by the way, when she first had my kids, she made dinner for my kids. They were 16. And they hadn't met her before, but they'd heard about her because I'm always cracking up on the phone because she's so funny. So they come in for dinner, and she comes out in a push-up bra, looking ridiculous, closer in age to them than me. She sits down at the end of the table, turns to them, and goes, as your new mother, which was the most brilliant opening.
Right.
She goes, as your new mother, breastfeeding will be precisely at 9. And my younger son looks at me and he goes, yeah, keep this one.
Yeah. Swing.
So fun, But so women look to guys because they know themselves, they say. They don't get, here's a big one, guys. And there's a kind of a white paper in my Date Younger with Dignity program, the 10 biggest mistakes men make when they try to date younger women.
Yeah.
And one of them is they don't hold the line. They don't stay steady in the face of adversity. You'd be amazed how many women tell me, young women tell me what they hate when guys blow up. They don't have control of their emotions.
That's interesting.
They don't have that practice.
Right. Yeah, they get pissed off, and then it's
stupid shit.
It's almost like women. I hate to say test us, but things will get thrown in your path, they'll test you, and if you're the guy who goes and just detonates, they're like, okay,
I can't trust this
guy. Is a minor thing, and he's freaking out. That's not going to work.
Right. So keeping that steady center is really important. That's one of the things they complain about a lot. They use the term man boys a lot. They don't feel like men pay attention to them. And I want to say something about that too, because look, I don't look at everything as black and white. the truth is that if you're in your 20s, I was on Wall Street in my 20s. You know, I was in the music industry when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I was like tap dancing on air.
Yeah,
I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a nice suit, right?
Right.
And you get these jobs, and you're trying to figure your life out, and you're trying to make a good impression. Your attention is going to be on your life.
Yeah.
You don't have the kind of attention to give to a younger woman, to a woman, right?
Any woman, yeah.
Right. When you're 40 and you're kind of more established and you got your routines down, it's much easier. And I'll tell you something else for the dads out there. I think one of the most strategically beneficial qualities that I have is not something that I did on purpose, but because I raised 2 wild boys, I'm extremely attentive to bodies, to what's happening. Like, is there a big dog coming down the street? I will put my body between her and the dog. I'll stand when she gets up at the table. I take care of her. I reach out when we cross a curb or enter a room. I'm just very attentive physically, and I'm attentive to her mood shifts. And a lot of that just comes from parenting. And
Interesting.
so just being attentive to somebody makes them feel special. And I think as you get older and you have more attention to spare, because you're not like so busy trying to create yourself, you're kind of enjoying yourself a little more. Women love that. Yeah.
Good. I like that. And now, older guys run into a lot of walls when they're dating younger women too. They do a lot of weird stuff. What are sort of like the top 3 weirdo mistakes or like issues that guys run into when they're dating younger girls? Because I think a lot of guys probably try to act younger, or I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's examples of guys that you coach where it's like, oh yeah, what are you doing, dude? Stop doing that.
It's so painful. Well, you know the joke. Let's just start with the joke. How do you know if a douchebag is wearing Ed Hardy? He's wearing Ed Hardy.
Right, okay.
All right, so Ed Hardy, rule number 1, no Ed Hardy clothing. Like, don't dress like a fool. You know, did Cary Grant dress that way? No. Think of like the real, like George Clooney. Use him as your model.
Right.
You know? So you want to have a little bit of class. I'm always amazed, and we live in LA, so I never do this. I don't do it that often. I'm always amazed the power of a fucking sport jacket has out here. Because no one wears one. You wear one, you look nice, they treat you different. You know, they really kind of look up to you.
Okay.
It's different. New York, London, right there, you have to dress. So the biggest mistakes they make are, number 1, we talked about revealing a fragile ego.
Yeah.
Like blowing up and not having that self-control. Second big one is they try to act young.
Right, we sort of touched on that.
So, like, don't go into their world. Bring them into your world. Like, let them be the superstar. I remember I took a girl out to dinner. I called, like, a group of 10 friends, 3 couples. She was the only girl there. It was, like, 5 of my friends. Some of them you know.
Yeah.
And she's just, like, radiantly beautiful. We had just started dating. And, by the way, here's another tip, guys. It was our second date, and I said, hey, I want you to come meet my friends. And she's like, I have to tell you, that really means a lot to me.
Right.
I'm like, why? Like,
because most of the time, guys never bring them into that world. Yeah.
Right, because I respected her, I liked her, and I'm bringing her into my world rather than sitting around at a barbecue like I have at an apartment complex here in LA, and everyone's like hi and talking about just bullshit. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
This is so, and I don't mean this in a pejorative way, beneath my dignity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, what am I fucking wasting my time? They're talking about nothing, right? So you bring them into your world. What you don't want to use is phrases like off the hizzy, that you think is
but it gives her an opportunity to grow and be like a part of what you're doing.
And feel like a star because everyone is interested in her.
Right.
And look, the truth is, so when I was in Hollywood, I had a friend who wrote a book that every story and every human being really starts with the desire to want to be discovered. Like if you look at Star Wars and all these stories, and I could talk about the hero's journey for an hour, so we won't get into it.
Next time.
But everybody wants to be recognized for their uniqueness. And when you bring a woman into your circle of friends, especially if she's younger, right, they're going to be really interested. I mean, I've had guys pull me aside and go, what the fuck are you doing with this girl? You know, come on. And then they talk to her and I'm like, oh, fuck, she's smarter than me.
Yeah, she's smarter than me, yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people have this kind of, initial prejudice. But when I really like a girl and she's really smart and she's really cool, I'll bring her into my world. So bring her into your world. That's really important. Don't get caught up in trying to like, so what's Miley Cyrus's new song?
Right.
How about that Last Friday Night song? Hey, Jonas Brothers.
How about that Justin Bieber guy?
How about that Bieber? He's going to be a big shot one day.
Yeah.
Right, so you stay that. Another one is, and I love this metaphor, okay? So women generally are brought up with the metaphor of like they're going to be a princess and discovered by a prince, a handsome prince, right?
Okay.
Most women will go, yeah, I brought up with that way, and they still have that. And one of the things I tell women in their profiles, never fucking use that metaphor, like because no man wants to be a prince. A man wants to be a knight. He wants to be a warrior and fight for something noble.
Right. Not some dude with tights on.
Not some dude with tights on.
And heels.
Or he wants to be a king.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to be a prince. So one of the sort of metaphors that runs through my Date Younger with Dignity program is about how to take the throne of kingship in your life, how to own your life. And I think you'll probably appreciate this because you deal with this all the time. There's this whole myth that you have to be socially alpha, right? Yeah. You got to show that you're socially alpha. You got to show that you're socially alpha. I'm not a tall guy. You're not a tall guy. Right. I walk into a bar. I'm not socially alpha, right? But I am fucking alpha of my world. Like, in the 3 feet around me, I own who I am. There's no hiding. There's nothing half-assed. I absolutely say what I want, and I'm direct, and I'm proud of the man I am, right? And I own who I am, right? And women feel that. I own my world. That's kind of being at the feast, right? Every man can do that. Every man can be the king of his domain, we call it the Seinfeld show. But not every man's going to be socially alpha, and not every man has to be socially alpha. If every man was socially alpha, it would have no meaning.
Right, yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
So it's about claiming your kingship. And I have a lot there about what does it mean to be king of your world. A younger woman, now I was talking a difference of 30 years. I know it's a little extreme.
Sure.
But like if I date 10 to 15 years younger than me, and it's a little harder actually. The 30s are tough for me because, they generally want to start family. So I kind of skip the 30s, leaves me with the 20s, 19, and 40s, right? And I won't go into dating in the 40s. We can talk about that a little bit. Great for juice boxes and snacks.
Some other time, yeah.
Some other time. But so that really kind of leaves me with my 20s. So when they look at you, and you're in your 40s, say, or in your 30s, they want to look up to you. They want to admire you. And so you want to own your kingship. So what does a king do, right? A king is someone who gives value. Right? A king is someone who's searching for other people to validate him, right? So you have to be that guy who gives value. Like in social engagements, right? You're the guy who's clearly giving value, not trying to get respect from his quote-unquote boss, or his superiors. You have to know how to embody that. And you do that with your language. You do that with your body language. You do that with how you arrange evenings, how you treat your friends. And it creates kind of a kingdom around you. And so there's a lot to say about that. There's a king and just a dude.
We're crawling up on an hour, so I wanted to sort of see if there's maybe a couple things guys can do right now to test in their profile that's going to get some results, and they go, okay, this dude does know what he's talking about.
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, they should get Deep Online Attraction. It's the most comprehensive.
Yeah, and we'll link that up in the show notes.
It's just comprehensive. It goes through all the sort of those little hooks. So basically, your profile should feel like a series of little hooks, like, those long lines, and one of them will hook them. So you want to have that. So there are different kinds of hooks. So qualifying is a big one. Say, only write me if, right?
Okay.
That's something I do all the time. Only write me if you, and I remember that whole list I gave?
Sure.
And some are kind of, slim is fun, joyful is one, but then I go like eclectic and, hypnotically feminine. Like, that's a good term.
And then they're like, am I that? Yes, hell yeah.
A woman who is that will exactly right. Yeah. If she feels I am fucking bomb, she'll write to me. If she doesn't feel hypnotically feminine,
she'll be like, I don't really fit that.
If she's stressed out at work, right? If she's got 10 kids,
Yeah.
She's not going to write to me, which is good because I don't really want to hear from her. God bless her. I want her to be happy, but not with me. So that's one thing. Set the moral high bar is something I always say.
What does that mean?
So like the assumption in online dating, and I love challenging assumptions, is that women have the power, men don't. The only reason that is because men don't write great profiles. Like, I know I have the power online. If I break up with someone, I will have 5 dates that weekend. I know it because just the power of my profile. And I'm not young. I'm not tall. I don't have all my hair. It's like not like I'm an Adonis at all. But I know the language will get them going. So to reverse that power situation, I always tell men, tell the truth, but say something like, honesty is the cornerstone of my personal and professional life. Mm-hmm. Everyone in my life knows that about me. And if you're the woman for me, if something's similar for you, please write me. If not, please don't. So you set that moral high bar: authenticity, honesty, truth-telling. You pick your virtue, but you state it really clearly that don't even write to me if you're not this person. Right? That's one small way. Other ways, what I call electric contrast, and I give a lot of really good examples of this. And you can do it in your pictures, by the way. So you should not have more than 4 or 5 pictures, tops, all right?
Okay.
Because then you just seem...
All of them with you, with your shirt off, holding a...
With sunglasses, with hot chicks going,
taking
with their tongue out.
Right.
So you want to have one, like, women need to admire you. So one shot of you looking fucking sharp in a suit, public speaking, something where you look really good.
What about like a lot of boring pictures seem like headshot type things. Is it better to have pictures where you're doing something?
Well, you'd mix it. That's what I mean by electric contrast. 1, professional shot. And yeah, headshot's fine. 2 is you doing something athletic, preferably shirt on. Women generally don't like that, although some have responded well. 1, something athletic. 1, social, to show that you're not some lone wolf out there. Do not put a picture of you with really hot women.
A lot of guys do that. These are the kind of girls I date.
Oh, God.
You better be one of these. Yeah.
It's really hard. If they're too hot, women will go, oh, fuck that. And if they're too homely, they'll go, I'm better than him.
Yeah.
So try to do like a group picture, not you and girls, like you with friends looking good. And then 1 funny picture, 1 interesting picture, another little hook. So I use a picture of, there's an animal called a tapir. That lives in the Amazon. So I go to the Amazon from time to time to do strange jungle. We call them medicines with the shamans and drugs. And this animal just came wandering out of the forest. It's related to an elephant. It has like a pendulous nose and kind of looks like a big pig dog elephant. And so I'm petting it in the picture. And then people will, and that's one of my pictures. And people will go, what is that?
What is that thing?
And I'll say, like, hey, that was my last girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's really rude of you. And then now we're into it. All right, now I can have her, right? Or they'll want to prove to me that they're smart, and they'll say, oh, I know what that is. That's a tapir,
That's a tapir.
And I'm like, ooh, you're smart. I like you. So like these are ways of hooking people by being intelligent about your profile. So 4 different pictures. Something admirable, something athletic, something social, something funny, and you're set. Anything more than that, then you're being needy.
Good. So definitely the roundup of pictures, create those little hooks, and then, of course, don't make any of those mistakes that we discussed earlier in the show. And there's so much more here, but I definitely want to see the guys go to your website, and we'll have that linked up in the show notes as well. But what, last but not least, what do we do? How do we start the conversation with women or let them start the conversation with us online? I mean, because a lot of times guys write obnoxious, ridiculous crap online.
The last woman who I was dating for a long time, we're really still super close, and we're in an open relationship and trying to figure out the next phase, right? Because I travel a lot. It's really hard to have that kind of relationship. She was so far by millions the hottest woman on the dating site.
Okay.
She was an innocent. I mean, she just came out of nowhere like I was back then, and she had like hundreds of emails her first day. I got through. And we're sitting on her couch on the second date, and we're going through. She goes, you want to see something? As soon as she opened it up, bing, 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 right? Hi there. Hey, beautiful. Gorgeous smile. What's up? Like nothing, right? There was no communication. So one of the principles I show you how to do in deep online attraction, I call it sing to her idealized self. Let me explain that for a second.
Okay.
Remember I said women want to communicate that loving is really the core of who they are?
Sure.
Okay. So what I tell men to do is look at their profile, try to figure out by reading into it, looking at their pictures, really reading carefully, where does this woman feel she's giving love most in her life? Is she a teacher? Is it her sister? Is it her mother? Is it her grandmother? Is it the place where she lives? Is it her horses? Like find that idealized self where she feels this is the place where I'm expressing love. Because that's the core of a woman, right? That's the core of a good woman. It's like, where am I expressing love, right? Find that, and I say sing to it instead of just comment on it. Like, really do something with it. Like, say, I was reading through your profile, and I have to tell you, I read a lot of profiles, but what really caught my attention was how beautifully you expressed your love of your grandmother or whatever it was. I haven't seen this anywhere else. And that really showed me that you're someone, that I think I would really like to meet. Like that, very simple. You find some, and then, of course, be funny. Like you always try to add humor in, and I have a lot of examples of how to put humor in. But you try to find where does she love and speak to that person, not the hobbies.
Okay. Yeah, not the logical sort of connection.
Yeah, you find that emotional core. And I'll tell you here's a hilarious last story. So this is years ago when I was experimenting all the time. There was a woman on Match.com. And she was one of these just LA, like you can't believe there are people like this on earth, right?
Right.
So beautiful. And she wrote, like a lot of beautiful women do, mistakenly, almost nothing in her profile. Right?
Just
she
like,
figures, I'm hot.
Yeah, here I am.
And then what do? They get everyone writing them, all the douchebags, and they say, I hate online dating. So I wrote to her, I said, listen, I really can't tell much about your profile. So let me just ask you a question. Like, what are your dreams in life? Like, who are you? What do you really want to create? And she wrote me back, and it's in the book. I have her letter. It's in Deep Online Attraction, my book about online dating. She says, it was very mixed metaphors. She goes, you've hit the nail right in the middle of the square. She goes, no one I know. She's like, I have to tell you, that is the sweetest, kindest question anyone has ever asked me. And of course, my heart broke a little, because if that's the sweetest kind of question, what kind of life have you had?
Yeah,
and most
very
beautiful
shallow
women, most beautiful women have never had a man actually ask them, what are your dreams? Big note, by the way, for guys who want to date younger, stay focused on her dreams. Stay focused on what does she want to create, not on how awesome you are. Be her greatest advocate, her greatest champion. That's what they're looking for. They want that. So stay curious about their idealized self. Stay curious about their dreams, and be their greatest kind of champion, mentor, the rock they can lean on, and the man that they can be proud of. Proud of with their friends. Look at my guy. You know?
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Adam. Awesome. That was
fun
awesome.
stuff. Thank you.
Good stuff.
I love the subject.
And again, everything that you are offering linked up in the show notes, and your deep online attraction and date younger, all that stuff is going to be up on the show notes on our website. So don't panic if you can't find it.
Solid show as usual. Show feedback can go to jordanh@theartofcharm.com. And if you're new to the show but you want to know more about what we teach here at The Art of Charm, listen to the first 10 episodes first to get the basic toolbox. That's where you'll get the fundamentals of dating and attraction, such as body language, eye contact, vocal tonality, stuff that's more important than you might think. Make sure to stay up to date with everything going on here and get some killer-free ebooks and drills and exercises, videos, and cool stuff that'll help you become more charismatic and confident by signing up for the newsletter at theartofcharm.com. Bootcamp details also at theartofcharm.com. And don't forget, we've got military discounts. We don't leave our brothers in arms out of this one. If you buy something from a guest on the show, please do it through the Pickup Podcast website. Help support us. And if you can't find something, email us and we'll hook it up. You guys can also help us out by subscribing within iTunes, giving us a 5-star rating, and writing something nice. We'll love you forever. www.pickuppodcast.com. Tell your friends the greatest compliment you can give us is a referral to someone else. Now have a great week. Go out there and get social and leave everything better than you found it. Oh, but before you go, real quick, I'd love to get a sponsor on the show here. Hover is simple, honest, no-nonsense domain management. It's easy and quick, and you can get a domain name in under 5 minutes. If you've ever registered a domain, you know that a lot of those companies try to upsell you with stuff that you don't need or just stuff that should be included in the domain. Hover is really honest. They never try to upsell you at checkout, and all that other stuff that other guys charge for is included in the cost of the domain, like privacy and domain forwarding and all that stuff. My favorite, though, is that they've got the best customer support in the industry. You don't hold on the phone. If you ever have a problem, you call Hover. A real human will answer the phone and take care of everything right away. They also take the hassle out of getting a domain. You can go in, type a few keywords in the search box. It'll tell you what's available. You can get a .com, specific country, whatever you need, or a .net, which I really love. Hover has a lot of options to get a just about anything else domain name as well. So if you need something special, they've for sure got it. They've also got something called valet transfers. So if you have a domain somewhere else, they'll take care of the whole process of moving the domain to Hover for you. Last but not least, they've also got Google Apps, which we use here at The Art of Charm. Basically, all those productivity apps, Gmail, Calendar, Google Drive, Docs, all that stuff customized for your business, and they give you 25 gigs of storage. Google is a massive company, right? You're never going to call them on the phone. But if you have any problem with Google Apps and you use Hover, you can give Hover a call and they will fix it for you, which is pretty awesome. So if you're still not sure about Google Apps, they've got a 30-day free trial. And last but not least, if you go to hover.com/artofcharm, so don't put the in there, just Art of Charm, you get 10% off a new domain name. So go to hover.com/artofcharm and you can help support the show and get a new domain at the same time. Thanks a lot, guys.
Be sure to check out pickuppodcast.com. Pickuppodcast.com for tips, courses, and archived podcasts.